February 15th, 2003. 3:37 a.m. The Antwerp Diamond Centre. Vault number 1. 0 alarms, 0 witnesses, 0 forced entry. $100 million in diamonds. Gone. The vault was still locked from the inside. This is not a magic trick. This is engineering. This is patience. This is the story of the man who spent 3 years learning how to steal what could not be stolen. His name was Leonardo Notarbartolo, and he was about to prove that every fortress has a flaw. You just need to know where to look. Antwerp, Belgium, the diamond capital of the world. 80% of all rough diamonds pass through this single city block. $30 billion in stones change hands here every year. Not in banks, not in armored trucks. In briefcases, in coat pockets, in handshakes between men who trust each other more than they trust vaults. But there is one place where trust ends, where paranoia becomes architecture. The Antwerp Diamond Centre. Built in 1973, designed by engineers who studied every heist in European history and learned from each failure. 12 floors, 160 private vaults, 3,000 safe deposit boxes, all protected by a security system considered unbeatable. Let me explain why. The vault sits 2 floors below ground level. Reinforced concrete walls, 30 centimeters thick, steel-lined, fireproof, earthquake-resistant. To reach it, you must pass through 10 separate barriers. First, the building entrance, biometric scanners, retinal recognition, weight-sensitive floor panels that detect discrepancies of more than 2 kilograms. Second, the elevator. Requires 2 keys turned simultaneously. The keys are never held by the same person. Third, the vault corridor. Motion detectors, heat sensors calibrated to detect temperature variations of 0.5 degrees Celsius. Seismic sensors embedded in the floor. Fourth, the light detector. A Doppler radar system that measures the reflection of light particles. If a single photon bounces differently, the system locks down. Fifth, the magnetic field sensor. Any ferrous metal larger than a coin triggers it. Sixth, the vault door itself. 3 tons of steel and concrete. Combination lock with 100 million possible permutations. Changes every 6 hours. Only 3 people on Earth know the sequence at any given time. Inside the door, a sealed chamber, climate-controlled, nitrogen-flooded to prevent fire. Separate alarm system hardwired directly to Belgian Federal Police Headquarters, 6 kilometers away. Response time, under 4 minutes. The system had never been breached, not once, not in 30 years. Leonardo Notarbartolo walked into this building in the year 2000. He smiled at the receptionist. He showed his credentials. He rented vault number 11 on a 5-year lease. He paid in cash. The fortress had just let the enemy inside. Notarbartolo was 49 years old. Born in Palermo, Sicily. Trained as a gemologist, licensed diamond merchant. Perfect credentials. Perfect background. Perfect lie. He had been planning this for 7 years. Not 7 years of preparation, 7 years of study. Learning the systems, understanding the psychology of security designers, finding the pattern. Every security system is built by humans. Humans have habits. Habits create patterns. Patterns create vulnerabilities. His method was patience. He rented the vault in 2000. He visited twice a week, every Tuesday, every Thursday. always between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m., always carrying the same leather briefcase, always wearing the same grey suit. He became furniture, invisible, expected. The guard stopped checking his briefcase after month 3. Inside that briefcase, a miniature magnetometer, a thermal imaging camera disguised as a cell phone, a digital audio recorder modified to detect ultrasonic frequencies. He was mapping the vault. Every visit he recorded, the hum of the ventilation system, the click of the magnetic sensors resetting, the 23-second delay between motion detection and alarm activation. He discovered something the designers did not intend to reveal: the heat sensors. The sophisticated infrared grid designed to detect human body temperature. They were too sensitive. The system was calibrated for 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, human core temperature. But the designers made an assumption. They assumed intruders would be warm. They never considered someone might cool the room first. Notarbartolo tested this on visit 47. He brought a thermos of ice water. He accidentally spilled it near the sensor panel. The liquid pooled, evaporated, cooled the air by 3 degrees in a 2-meter radius. The sensors did not trigger. They were designed to detect heat, not the absence of it. He had found the crack in the armor, but there were still 9 other layers to defeat. He could not do this alone. Notarbartolo returned to Italy, to Turin, to a district where certain specialists live. Men who do not advertise. Men who solve problems that cannot be discussed in daylight. He recruited 4. The genius, a security systems expert, age 32, former employee of ADT, fired for asking too many questions about override protocols. He could read circuit diagrams the way musicians read sheet music. The key man, age 56, a locksmith who had opened 14 supposedly unpickable safes for Italian police as a forensic consultant. He understood that locks are not about strength, they are about geometry. The monster, age 41, physical specialist. His job was simple: carry heavy objects, stay calm under pressure, provide muscle if negotiations failed. The inside man, age unknown, identity unknown, even to the others. He worked in the Diamond Centre, not as a guard, as a maintenance contractor, HVAC systems, electrical, plumbing. He had the building schematics, the real ones, not the public records. The blueprints that showed where the backup generators lived, where the redundant alarm cables were buried.
The system had never been breached.
For 18 months, they met in a rented garage in Antwerp.
Not in 30
They built a
years.
replica, a full-scale model of the vault corridor. Sensors, cameras, pressure plates. They practiced in the dark.
Good morning. I'm here.
207 dry runs, timed, measured, analyzed. By January
Thank you. You're all set.
2003, they could navigate the corridor blindfolded in under 90 seconds. They had one final problem to solve: the videotape system. The Diamond Centre used an analog tape surveillance system.
The four
16
cops had
cameras,
just let the enemy
4-hour
inside.
tapes, changed manually by security staff at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. The tapes were stored in a locked cabinet in the security office, 3rd floor. The cabinet had a numerical keypad, 4-digit code, changed weekly. Notarbartolo needed to replace the tapes, not steal them,
Perfect credentials.
replace them. If the tapes went missing, the heist would be discovered immediately. But if the tapes were still there, showing nothing unusual, he could buy 72 hours before anyone noticed the diamonds were gone.
Said that to the regional manager.
The inside man obtained the tape model,
I missed that.
Sony, standard VHS, 4-hour capacity. They recorded dummy footage, 60 hours of empty corridors, guards walking predictable routes, normal activity, boring, invisible. The footage was looped, seamless. You could watch it for 3 days and see nothing suspicious. But there was still the problem of accessing the security office. Notarbartolo solved it with social engineering. He became friendly with a night guard, a man named Antonio, age 62, divorced, 3 children, loved football, hated his supervisor. Notarbartolo brought him coffee, Italian coffee, the good kind. They talked about Juventus, about women, about how poorly the security company paid. On February 14th, Notarbartolo brought cannoli, Antonio's favorite. They were laced with a sedative, not enough to knock him unconscious, just enough to make him drowsy, slow his reaction time by 20%. At 2:45 a.m., Antonio felt tired. He sat down, rubbed his eyes. At 2:51 a.m., the inside man entered the building through the underground parking garage. Maintenance uniform, tool belt. He walked directly to the security office. Antonio looked up, recognized the uniform, nodded. The inside man said the backup generator was making a strange noise. Could he check the monitor feeds to see if any cameras were flickering? Antonio turned to the screens. The inside man stepped behind him, entered the cabinet code, memorized 3 weeks earlier by watching Antonio's finger movements through a telephoto lens from a building across the street. The cabinet opened. He swapped the tapes. 16 cameras, 16 replacements, 38 seconds. Antonio never turned around. At 2:53 a.m., the Diamond Centre security system was now recording lies. At 3:15 a.m., Leonardo Notarbartolo entered the building for the last time. They came as ghosts. Notarbartolo, the genius, the key man, the monster. The inside man had left the parking garage door unlocked, disabled a magnetic sensor with a wire bypass. Simple, elegant. They wore black, head to toe. No logos, no identifiable clothing. Gloves, 2 layers, nitrile under leather. They carried 4 bags, tools, arranged by sequence of use. 3:16 a.m. They reached the vault corridor. The first barrier was light, Doppler radar. The system measured how long it took photons to bounce off surfaces. If the timing changed, alarm. The genius had studied this for 11 months. He understood the flaw. The system measured reflection, but it assumed the reflecting surface was static. It never considered that someone might add a new surface. He sprayed the air with an aerosol, hairspray, not the cheap kind, professional styling spray. The mist hung in the air, microscopic droplets. The light particles bounced off the droplets instead of the walls. The timing stayed consistent. The Doppler radar saw nothing. 3:19 a.m. Second barrier, heat sensors. The monster carried a canister, liquid nitrogen, cooled to -196 degrees Celsius. He released it slowly. The gas pooled on the floor, heavier than air. The temperature in the corridor dropped. 16 degrees Celsius, 12 degrees, 8. The sensors were designed to detect heat. They interpreted the sudden cold as a system malfunction, not an intrusion. No alarm. 3:22 a.m. Third barrier, magnetic field sensor. The key man opened his bag. Everything inside was aluminum, titanium, carbon fiber, 0 ferrous metal. They passed through. 3:24 a.m. Fourth barrier, seismic sensors. They moved like dancers, weight distributed across both feet. No sudden shifts. Each step took 4 seconds. The sensors detected vibration, but human footsteps create a specific frequency signature. Sharp, sudden. Their movements were smooth, continuous. The sensors interpreted it as building settling. Normal. 3:29 a.m. The vault door. This was the masterpiece. 3 tons of steel, combination lock, 100 million permutations. The key man did not try to crack it. He went around it. The vault door was impenetrable. But the vault was not just a door. It was a room. And rooms have walls. The wall to the left of the door was reinforced concrete, 30 centimeters, unbreakable. But the wall to the right was different. It bordered a storage room, a janitor's closet, unimportant, not part of the vault. The wall between them was still concrete, still thick, but it did not have the steel liner. And it had a ventilation duct, 15 centimeters in diameter, running through the concrete, bringing fresh air into the vault to prevent carbon dioxide buildup. The duct was protected by a steel grill, bolted, locked. The key man removed it in 90 seconds. Behind the grill, the duct itself, stainless steel, 15 centimeters wide. Too small for a human, not too small for tools. The genius fed a fiber optic camera through the duct, 12 meters long, articulated tip. The camera emerged inside the vault. They could see everything. 160 private vaults lining the walls. Diamonds, cash, gold, jewelry. The vault door's interior mechanism, the locking bolts, the hinges, and the backup alarm panel. Hardwired to police headquarters, impossible to disable from outside. But from inside the vault, there was an override switch, emergency protocol, in case someone was accidentally locked inside. The genius fed a second tool through the duct, a mechanical arm, custom built, articulated joints, 20 centimeter reach. 3:38 a.m. The arm extended, reached the override switch, flipped it. The alarm went silent. 3:41 a.m. They drilled, not through the vault door, through the concrete wall. A carbide-tipped drill bit, 8 millimeters wide, battery-powered, nearly silent. They drilled 147 holes in a circular pattern, 40 centimeters in diameter. Each hole took 90 seconds. They worked in rotation. One drilled, one cleared dust, one watched the time. 4:17 a.m. The circle was complete. The monster placed a hydraulic jack against the perforated section, pumped. The concrete plug pushed inward, fell into the vault with a muffled thud. They had a hole, 40 centimeters wide enough. 4:23 a.m. Notarbartolo entered the vault. He did not rush. He walked between the private vaults, reading names, numbers. He had a list, memorized. 12 specific vaults, chosen not randomly. Chosen because intelligence suggested they contained the highest value stones. He used a portable X-ray scanner, aimed at the vault doors. The scanner showed density. Diamonds have a specific density, 2.42 times heavier than water. He could see which vaults were worth opening. Vault 29, Vault 44, Vault 51. The private vaults had individual locks, high security, but not as sophisticated as the main door. The key man opened them. Inside, briefcases, leather pouches, plastic containers, diamonds, rough and polished, certified and uncertified. Notarbartolo did not take everything. That would be stupid, greedy. He took 40% from each vault, enough to be devastating, not enough to be immediately obvious. A merchant might not check his vault for days. When he finally did, he might assume he miscounted, might spend hours rechecking his records before he admitted something was wrong. Confusion buys time. 4:58 a.m. They had $107 million in diamonds. They exited through the hole, one by one. The monster sealed the hole with fast-setting epoxy resin, grey, textured to match the concrete. From a distance, in low light, it looked like a wall. 5:11 a.m. They left through the parking garage. 5:19 a.m. They were in a van, driving south. 5:43 a.m. They crossed the Belgian border into France. 6:02 a.m. The security guard changed the videotapes. He inserted new tapes, watched the monitors. Everything looked normal. The vault door was still locked. They made one mistake. 60 kilometers outside Antwerp, a rural road, forest on both sides. They stopped to divide the diamonds. The monster carried garbage bags. They dumped the empty briefcases, the used gloves, the tools they no longer needed. They threw the bags into the woods, standard protocol. Scatter evidence across multiple locations, make investigation harder. But one bag ripped. A receipt fell out, from a sandwich shop in Antwerp. Notarbartolo's name, time-stamped, February 14th, 2:37 p.m. He did not notice. On February 17th, a man walking his dog found the bags. He called police. Belgian Federal Police arrived, forensics team. They combed the area. They found gloves, 11 fingerprints, partial DNA on a piece of salami. The DNA matched Leonardo Notarbartolo. The fingerprints matched the genius. On February 20th, police raided Notarbartolo's apartment in Antwerp. They found diamond dust on his jacket, a magnetometer, detailed notes about security systems. He was arrested at 6:30 a.m. He did not resist. Notarbartolo sat in the interrogation room for 11 hours. He said nothing. The police showed him the evidence, the DNA, the fingerprints, the sandwich receipt. He smiled. He knew the law. Circumstantial evidence. No witnesses. No surveillance footage showing him inside the vault. His lawyer argued the DNA could be explained. He rented a vault in the building. Of course his DNA was present. The tools in his apartment? He was a gemologist. He needed precision instruments. The notes about security? He was writing a book, hypothetical scenarios. The prosecutors knew he was guilty, but proof is not the same as knowing. The trial lasted 2 years. In 2005, Leonardo Notarbartolo was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The genius, 8 years. The key man, 7 years. The monster, 6 years. The inside man was never identified, never caught. And the diamonds? Of the $107 million stolen, only $3 million was ever recovered. $104 million in diamonds vanished. Notarbartolo served 5 years, released on parole in 2009. He lives in Italy now, runs a small jewelry shop. He has never revealed where the diamonds are. In interviews, he smiles. He says the heist was not about money. It was about proving that perfection is a myth. Every system has a flaw.
Diamonds,
You just need to look at it
cash,
from the right angle.
gold,
The Antwerp Diamond Centre upgraded its security after the heist, spent 14 million euros, digital surveillance, biometric locks at every level, motion sensors that detect heartbeat. But the engineers know something they do not advertise. Security is not about being unbeatable. It is about being more difficult than the next target. And somewhere in the world, someone is studying their new system, measuring, recording, finding the pattern, waiting.